Hi, everybody from the University of Buffalo School of Nursing. My name is Kyle Courtley. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment and Enrollment here at UB, and today we're going to be sharing some application tips regarding letters of recommendation. So we're just going to start off with kind of the basic information of how many letters of recommendation do you need as part of our process. And we keep it simple. All of our programs require 3 letters of recommendation for admission. So it's not going to change program to program. Every program is going to require 3. Um, the big thing that I want to emphasize with this is that if you submit more than 3 letters of recommendation, it's not really going to help your application. It's not going to increase your chances of being accepted. And honestly, by submitting more names, you really can just slow down the process because then we're kind of sitting in this place where we're waiting for a bunch of letters to come in. But the way that we process it is that once an application has 3 letters of recommendation, we read it. So if you submit 5 names of people to send letters of recommendation and you're really hoping for certain ones to send them, but 3 other people send their letters of recommendation first, that's it. We're done. We're going to process your application. So save yourself the trouble and the guesswork. Only submit 3 names, only get 3 letters of recommendation, and then you're going to know exactly who wrote them and exactly whose letters of recommendation we are going to be reviewing as part of the process. Sometimes people think, the more you got, the better. Not for us. Please keep it to 3. So who can your recommenders be for the application? It doesn't necessarily really matter. We would prefer for letters of recommendation to come from a professional with a graduate degree or a healthcare professional you've worked with within the last 5 years. But your recommenders do not need to have a nursing degree. Again, sometimes there's some confusion of whether the people who are writing the letters of recommendation need to actually be nurses. Not necessarily. Again, for us, we really just want to make sure that you're choosing people who are going to know you in the greatest working capacity and be able to provide the most comprehensive and the most positive letters of recommendation. So, if that's a hospital administrator, if that's a doctor that you're working with, if it's even a professor, right, from a previous program that you were in, all of those are fine. We just really want people who, again, have known you recently and who have worked with you in a professional capacity and can speak to your abilities to joining our program. Now, this is where things start to get sometimes a little bit complicated. So, really, the rest of this presentation, I want to walk through what is the process of getting these letters of recommendation submitted so that you know, and that so you can also share this information with any recommenders in case they do have questions about the process. So, letters of recommendation can start to be submitted once you start an application to UB, and they are going to be due by the application deadline. We are not going to accept letters of recommendation that are sent to us prior to a student submitting an application. So submit the application first, and then the information will get to the recommenders, but don't have recommenders be sending us letters before you've actually sent us your application because we have nowhere to put them and they are not going to live within our system. So they're just going to end up getting lost and we're going to need new ones anyway. If we do not have all 3 letters of recommendation by the deadline, your application is not going to be considered for admission. This is especially time sensitive for students who are applying to our nurse anesthesia program, which has a pretty tight application window. It is really, really important that you are communicating with your recommenders and that you are making sure that they are aware of our deadline. Because again, when we hit 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on the day of the deadline, if we don't have all 3 letters of recommendation, we are not going to process your application. It is going to be considered incomplete and therefore withdrawn from our system. So you have some time, but you do need to be aware of the time, and you also need to make sure that you are communicating with your recommenders. So how do you get the letters of recommendation to us? Obviously, the letters of recommendation are submitted directly to the School of Nursing. We can't have letters of recommendation that are sent from the student on behalf of somebody else. They need to be sent directly from the recommender. So what's going to happen is that as the student on the application, you're going to see that there's a section for you to submit the names and the contact information for your recommenders. Once you submit the application with that information, your recommenders are going to be emailed directly with instructions for how to submit the letter. This is an automated email that gets sent from UB. So a little tip for you would be that we would recommend that you get a personal email address from your recommenders rather than a professional one, because there are a lot of healthcare systems that have firewalls that prevent our emails from going through. So if you can get like a Gmail or another personal email address, there's a better chance that we're not going to end up in the spam folder or that the email's not going to be deliverable to your recommender. If your recommenders haven't gotten an email from us within about 48 hours of you submitting your application, tell them to check their spam folder or have them contact us directly and we can figure out what's going on. Again, a lot of times that is because maybe there was a firewall that was put up or something happened to prevent the email coming through. And we can work directly with your recommenders. If they need to send things to us outside of the application, that's fine. But give it 48 hours and then let us know if there's any problems. So this is what it's going to look like from the student side of things as you're going through the application. You're going to get to the section that says recommendations, and you're going to see right there a little button that says add recommender. It's going to pull up this window, and you're going to be able to fill in the information here in terms of the name, their position, right, telephone number, email address on there, and then you will hit send to recommender. And again, that will get sent once you submit the application to us. This is what the recommender is going to see. So this is the email that they're going to get. Again, it's coming just from nursing@buffalo.edu. So let them know that they should look out for an email coming from that address. And the subject line is going to be recommendation request from your name for the School of Nursing. And as I said, it's going to look exactly like this. They're going to get a personalized link, which is I graded out because I don't want anybody somehow getting in and submitting letters of recommendation on a weird link. But right where that gray box is, that's where they're going to click that. And then that is going to open a web page right here for your recommender. So they're going to see your name. They're going to see that you're applying to University at Buffalo. And then they are going to be able to fill in a bunch of information. So they're going to have an option to upload a letter, right? So if they wrote out a Word document or they have a PDF, they'll be able to choose a file and upload it right on there. They can say what type of recommendation this is, right? So do they know you in an academic capacity, professional capacity, or other capacity? And then they'll give information about like how long they've known you, in what capacity they've known you, etc. They do also get the option to submit ratings here. So kind of like an overall summary evaluation, and then looking at different areas, different competencies, and rating you on those as well. And then they will just type in their name and hit submit. So we make things fairly simple for the recommenders, hopefully. They find it to be pretty easy to work through. Again, if there's any issues, if your recommenders are communicating with you that they're having problems, please just have them email either me directly or nursing@buffalo.edu, and we would be happy to help them through this process to make sure that everything gets uploaded to your application appropriately. So how are you going to know whether things have been submitted or not? So you are going to get an applicant status portal when you submit your application. If you haven't watched our application tips video about the UB application, you can go ahead and do that and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But you're going to get an application status page and you're going to have a checklist on there and you'll be able to see what documents, including letters of recommendation, have been submitted. You're also going to get an automated email from nursing@buffalo.edu when a letter of recommendation has been submitted on your behalf. The other really neat thing is that from that applicant status portal, you do also have the ability to send or to generate kind of automated reminder emails to your recommenders. So if you're logging on and you're seeing that they're still missing and it's been a while, you can actually prompt the system to send them a reminder email to be able to get their documents submitted to us. So that's really just a quick overview of the letters of recommendation. If you do have any further questions, you can go ahead and contact me at the information below.